Spotlighting Hawaii's leaders.
We want to bring in Governor David E.
Good morning, Mr. Mayor.
Lieutenant Governor, good morning. Thanks so much for joining us. Mayor Derek Kawakami.
Thank you so much, Senator, for being here.
Spotlighting the issues.
Where is the virus right now in our community?
How much is this overall going to cost the state?
How are you responding to the community's concerns? Talk about the level of citations that you guys are writing.
Spotlight Hawaii with Yunji Denise and Ryan Kalei Suji on the digital platforms of the Honolulu Star-Advertiser. This episode of Spotlight Hawaii is brought to you by Chaminade University.
Aloha and good morning. Thanks so much for tuning in. Great to see so many of you logging on here already on this Wednesday morning. I'm Ryan Kalei Suji, joined by Yunji Denise, and this is Spotlight Hawaii on the platforms of the Honolulu Star-Advertiser. And Yunji, this morning we will be talking to someone who led a department that played a very important role throughout the pandemic. And this morning we catch up with its director.
That's right. We are speaking, of course, with the Department of Labor and Industrial Relations Director, Anne Perreira-Eustaquio. Thank you so much for joining us again this morning.
Thank you again for having me. Appreciate it.
So we know that there's been a lot of changes to benefits, and with all those changes probably comes a lot of questions. PUA is gone, the federal plus-up is gone, but there are still a lot of people who are filing claims. Tell us a little bit about what your department is seeing right now.
Right. So the pandemic extended unemployment compensation program has ended. It ended on September 6th through federal regulations. And we are seeing many claimants still trying to obtain benefits. Those who ended their PEUC program in Hawaii on the 4th, was the last payable week, are trying to file for the week of September 5th, starting September 5th. And many of those claimants don't realize that, unemployment insurance is really a benefits program based on requirements, eligibility requirements, and not on need. And if individuals didn't return to work, then they're probably not eligible for new initial claims.
And so to clarify on that, for those individuals who maybe were on some sort of benefits because as a result of the pandemic, the PUC, those individuals essentially would need to look for ways to apply for new unemployment if they are eligible, because there would still need to be deemed some work that is necessary for them to even qualify for the, say, regular unemployment.
That's correct. Individuals have to meet eligibility requirements in order to qualify for a new claim. And they can't just move from one claim to the other without going back to work and earning wages that qualify for a new claim.
Sorry about that. Let's clarify that just for people who might not be totally clear. Unfortunately, having a financial need is not a qualification to get these benefits. So for folks who haven't worked perhaps since the start of the pandemic and were on these extended benefits programs, they can't just switch over. What are the work requirements to qualify for those new initial claims?
Okay, so we are right now in the third quarter of 2021. For unemployment insurance benefits, we look at the first 4 of the last 5 completed quarters. So we would be looking at second, third, and fourth of 2020, as well as the first quarter of 2021 to make a determination on eligibility on what we call conventional monetary determination. A claimant has to have earnings in at least 2 of those quarters. So what we were seeing is many individuals were laid off or furloughed back in March of 2020. And there were some individuals who worked intermittently, or many of them went back around May of 2021. And if that's the case, they don't have 2 quarters of eligible earnings to qualify them to have a valid monetary. The other requirements are that when we determine your weekly benefit amount, you have to have at least 5 times your weekly benefit amount in at least your the time you went back to work to qualify in that requirement. And then you also have to have 26 times your weekly benefit amount for all earnings in your benefit year. So there's several requirements that must be met in order for an individual to get a valid monetary determination.
If there are individuals out there who are still waiting to receive the benefits that were owed to them, through the pandemic assistance funds that were handed out, and maybe had problems with their claims, I mean, we know that were many of those cases that were still out there. What is that process looking like right now for those individuals? And does there continue to be a backlog in that area?
So on September 7th, we launched the expanded appointment system that we had for general unemployment insurance questions. We expanded that to PUA as well. And the week prior to that, we had extended the program to what we call adjudication issues. And so we have many claimants coming online, making appointments, telephone appointments for both general unemployment insurance questions, adjudication issues, as well as PUA. Those claimants can come on, make an appointment, and also request an interpreter in their preferred language. We still have appointments online that have not been picked up yet. So I encourage claimants who still have outstanding issues to go onto our website and make an appointment through that appointment system.
Christine Donnelly, who writes the Kokua column, is chiming in. She wants to know, many readers are asking why the extended benefits program has not been restarted, given that Hawaii's unemployment rate is still high. Could you please explain why that is? I'm referring to the standard EB program that was known as EB20, not to PEUC, PUA, or the expired federal programs. What is Hawaii's unemployment rate right now? And if you could answer Christine's question about extended benefits.
Right. So the unemployment rate in August was 7%. So last August, it was 14.1%. So it's come down greatly. The average for the US is 5.2%. So we are slightly higher than the US average. We are seeing claims coming in right now. We do see initial claims jumping a little bit, but we are seeing that many of those initial claims are by individuals who are not eligible for benefits because they do not meet the eligibility requirements for a valid monetary determination. So here at the Department of Labor, we administer the programs. And so PEUC is a federal program that was passed through Congress, and we were administering those programs. Congress makes policy decisions, and we administer those policy decisions. And since the program ended, there is no program to continue to administer.
So there's no EB20 equivalent, if you will.
No.
When we look at the overall unemployment landscape, I mean, you mentioned what August's numbers were at 7%, but when we talk to many employers out there and we see throughout the community, there seems to be a large need for workers. I mean, the governor was on this program just earlier this week, asking for people to work for the Safe Travels program and try to get people to assist in that area. One of the many departments that are needing assistance during this time. What are you hearing from employers in terms of just the overall need for workers right now?
Yes, we know that there are a lot of jobs out there. Many employers are looking for individuals to come and help them with their businesses. We see it ourselves, right? We are trying to hire for the call center as well, and we are also trying to hire for the adjudication team. So we see the struggle that employers are going through as well to bring on employees. I could tell you that we are really trying to move towards and focus on administering our workforce development program and the needs of the community. The Workforce Development Division is the head of the workforce here at the Department of Labor. They work hand in hand with the American Job Center. And the American Job Center is there to help residents who are seeking employment and different careers to get training, to help them through that process. And we're also help employers to assist them who want to provide jobs to the residents.
One of the big national headlines today was that United Airlines is firing 600 workers who are not complying with their vaccine mandate. Taking that down to our local level, we do have some employers that are now requiring vaccinations, along, of course, with the county workers and all the state workers. For people who are experiencing job loss because of a refusal to comply with the vaccine, are those folks eligible for unemployment benefits?
So just like any other adjudication issue, every adjudication issue is case-by-case basis. So we would have to do fact-finding on whether the individual left for cause or not. And we would have to give due process to both the claimant and the employer. So we would create an issue, do the adjudication issue and make a determination on a case-by-case basis.
And with those cases, and really any other cases that may come up that require further investigation or an adjudicator to look into, are you seeing any backlog with those types of cases that are coming in now? And are they behind, say, the ones that you folks are still working on that are a result of what has come through with the pandemic, with things like overpayments and other issues that you're still trying to resolve? Because I can imagine that if it's almost just adding on, so to speak, to this list of things that you guys are having to do. If you can talk about that backlog and that process for any of these newer claims that are coming in.
Right. So we do still have backlog on adjudication issues that have not been completed due to the pandemic. And then we are obtaining daily, new issues. So I can tell you an issue is created every single week by claimants. So if someone refreezes work this week, there would be an issue created. Now, if it was for the same reason, but they refused work again next week, a separate issue is created because it's another determination that needs to be made. It could be for a different reason that they were, not accepting work for the next week. And so it's a week by week basis because it's a week by week payment for those who are filing for unemployment insurance benefits. So that's why we spun up or implemented the adjudication appointment system so that we could have them reach out to us asking for an appointment instead of the department working on their reports internally.
On that overpayment issue, how big is that issue right now? And I know, just anecdotally speaking with a friend of mine whose husband is in that circumstance, they said, well, I haven't heard anything. I'm just going to leave it alone. Is that a good strategy? What would you say to those folks? Because some of these folks that we've seen on the message boards as well, we're talking about thousands of dollars in overpayment issue.
Right. I wouldn't leave it alone. I would definitely make an appointment. You make an appointment with an adjudicator, your issue will be addressed. Also, any issues other than adjudication issues, a payment wasn't made and a week is pending for some other reason not to do an adjudication issue, I would make an appointment with the general unemployment insurance line as well. We've been seeing great success in that area. We were handling cases first in, first out basis. So anything that came in, we were working on the oldest ones first. But through this process, whoever makes an appointment, we're still doing that. We're still trying to work on the older ones because we do have a team who is not handling the appointments, right? Who are working on our reports internally. But those calls that are coming in, if you have an issue and you make an appointment and we call you, we will work on that issue to get it cleared up.
As great as the service of being able to make an appointment has been for your department, there are still some individuals who just simply want to meet with someone in person to be able to talk to them. And there was plans at one point for the unemployment office to open its doors once again before we saw this recent surge of the Delta variant and caused plans to be put on hold. Are there any plans to resume that structure to reopen and have those in-person appointments available?
Right. So we continue to assess the situation, and we are looking at it on a week-to-week basis on when's the best time for us to move towards that path again. Right now, we do not have a date on a reopening. I can tell you that these appointments have been extremely successful. We also have individuals who prior said that they wanted video conferencing. I don't know if you remember, we had Zoom. The percentage of individuals who signed up for those appointments were very, very minimal. Claimants just want to get through and get on the phone and talk to someone and get their claim cleaned up as quickly as possible. I can tell you that if we opened up, and we will, one day we will open up, but when we open up, those who are handling the appointments are the exact same workers who are going to be seeing those individuals in person. So something's going to have to go away. So either we're going to have to give up the telephone appointments, or we're going to have to do a hybrid of telephone appointments and in person, which will greatly affect the in-person amount of individuals we could see in person.
Christine's got a follow-up, and I want to ask as well about that overpayment issue. If, like in my friend's case, you just leave it alone, what can ultimately happen? Can you have wages garnished down the line if you go back to work? Sort of what is the penalty? And she wants to know, can you estimate how often the DLIR forgives overpayments, a percentage? Is there a percentage that you know of overpayments that are forgiven? Obviously, this is case by case.
Right. It is case by case. It also depends on fraud, right? I don't know if everyone knows, but every single overpayment that's adjudicated is also a fraud issue is also adjudicated. That's one of the federal requirements. So we have to determine not only was there an overpayment and was the overpayment due to the employer or the claimant, but whether there was fraud and whether we're going to prosecute for fraud. If we don't prosecute for fraud, then we can move down the path to getting an individual paid for future weeks and possibly waive an overpayment. If there is fraud, then an individual is not eligible for benefits for amount of time, and that they could also be penalized for that fraud.
Throughout the pandemic, you've been on this program answering a lot of these unemployment questions and people who are continuing to have issues with their claims, but simultaneously, as the head of this department, leading, as you mentioned earlier, that workforce development program that you are also trying to get people back into work and also train them for potentially a new career. What can you tell us about the efforts that are being made there specifically, and what services are made available, I think, to people out there who may not know that there are opportunities for them to get support in areas of training and other matters that they may be able to get a new job and maybe in a completely new career path.
Right. I think that's so very important. That's the path we're trying to go down now. We're really trying to reach out to every claimant that was displaced or dislocated from their job, as well as those who just want a change in career. And so both in the type of individuals can reach out to our American Job Center. The American Job Centers are funded through funding from the federal government that comes through the Department of Labor. The Workforce Development Division oversees the American Job Centers. There are lots of different services, career counseling, skills training, job search assistance. We also help employers post their postings so that we can match claimants with the right job for them. Our HireNet Hawaii system, which claimants are now required again to register with. We do matching, job matching for them. There are also other expanded requirement services, that individuals can receive if they meet other federal requirements, such as in-depth career counseling, in-depth skills training, getting them trained for a specific job in a career demanding job that is out there right now that many individuals do not have the skills for. So I highly encourage those who are looking for a job and employers to reach out to our American Job Center. They can get the address and phone numbers on our website. They can make appointments to meet with a counselor. We also have coming up just tomorrow, and so I'm really excited about this, is we're partnering with the University of Hawaii Community Colleges and the Department of Labor, and they're going to have a virtual career fair tomorrow. They can go online and log on and hear about all the different jobs that are available and what employers are looking for in different individuals for different skill sets. And then on Friday, we are doing a webinar also through this partnership with the community college on employment services and the different services that we provide to the public through the American Job Centers.
Kalani Rodriguez has a question here. It says, many convention and concert-based companies have been shut down for over 18 months due to COVID. We were just opening back up when the new 30-day shutdown hit, and now an additional 30 days were added. Is there any consideration being given to unemployment extensions to those specialty workers? I know that you just said that, your job is not to create the programs, but really to administer them. Are you hearing of any relief being planned? It is so difficult for a lot of these companies, the wedding vendors, for instance, come to mind, where, they're having to accordion up and then accordion down, and in the meantime, losing a lot of business. What are you hearing in terms of any benefits that might be available to some of those folks?
Right. We are seeing not only in that career sector, but many career sectors where, employers are closing down for a bit of time and employees are then again being furloughed. Unfortunately, there are no extended benefits in sight. We don't see any of that coming from Congress right now. Federal unemployment insurance is a federal program. It's federally mandated. And so we have to follow all federal protocols and requirements. And like I said, you're right, we administer it. We do not create the programs. And so we too are reaching out to find out from the congressional delegation whether there are any opportunities for extended benefits. But at this point, there is none.
One of the biggest issues when this pandemic began was that was highlighted throughout this process was just how outdated the system was, and the mainframe was so fragile, and at times it really caused a large amount of the issues that people were experiencing for those who were on this and seeking unemployment benefits. What can you tell us about the progress that is being made to update that system and where you folks are at? Because I know that there was a green light that was given to update that. If you can provide us any idea of where we're at in that process.
So we are currently still on the mainframe. It's really not the mainframe that is antiquated, but the applications on the mainframe are very old and antiquated. And so we are planning to move off the mainframe. We were provided with funding, and the plans are still in place. We're moving down this path. Everything looks good. We plan to hopefully implement in October of 2022. We are working with the vendor, and so far we are on time and on schedule.
That is good to hear.
Yes.
I want to go back to the job opportunities that are out there. For somebody who is starting this process out, what would you advise them in terms of what kinds of jobs are out there right now? Where do you see the biggest demand? If you wanted to get a job and start working tomorrow, where would you go to submit an application?
So I have to tell you, there are so many sectors that are hiring right now. It looks like all employers are in need of services. And so I would really reach out to the American Job Center. They are a fantastic organization that we work hand in hand with. We oversee their operations. We provide them federal funding to help administer the programs there. Also, the HireNet Hawaii application. If you go on and you register with HireNet Hawaii, we will do job matching with what skills you have, what skill sets you have, and moving down to the different jobs that employers are posting, and hook you up with an employer to get an interview and make sure that you're going down that right path.
We have a couple of websites also that wanted to highlight. If you can help us talk through some of these and what each provides, because I think that there's sometimes this confusion over what site people should go to. We have this Hawaii Unemployment Info website. First off, if you can explain a little what that website provides, and then we also have that Hui Claims one that we also want to get to.
Right. So the HawaiiUnemploymentInfo.com is an accumulation of all kinds of things. That was something we implemented during the pandemic to make it a little easier for claimants to understand what was going on with unemployment insurance and the processes. So lots of FAQs on there. There's also a resource page. That resource page will take claimants to the address and contact for the American Job Center, which I was just talking about. Also, it has other services in the state of Hawaii, needs-based services to help claimants who do not qualify for unemployment insurance and need help moving down this path. We also have lots of alerts on that page, so that if something were to happen, the system's down, or we have a new program or something that's happening within the system, we're able to announce those alerts on that page.
And this second website that also helps to provide some support as well.
Right. The huiclaims.hawaii.gov is where claimants go to file for unemployment insurance. But on the bottom of that page, there is a benefit estimator. That benefit estimator is very valuable. It can help a claimant determine on whether they would be eligible for a new initial claim or not. It's a system where you just put in your data on how much you earn each quarter, and it'll tell you whether you are estimated to have a valid monetary or not to file for a new initial claim.
And on that initial claim question, for those who are just starting out this process and they've been denied right off the bat, perhaps because of some of the eligibility issues that you talked about, what would you advise them to do? Should they take no for an answer, or is there a way to figure out if they indeed have been, there could be another error in their application that caused their denial?
Right. So what we're seeing is individuals who their PEUC ended, and right away in September, they applied for a new initial claim. But they are not eligible monetarily because they didn't have 2 quarters of earnings. Well, this is September. So September is going to be over soon. And so this will be one of the quarters that could be counted in what we call the alternative base period monetary determination. So when I said there was a conventional monetary determination, we use the first 4 of the last 5 completed quarters. As alternative base period calculation, we use the most current 4 completed quarters to determine eligibility on monetary. And so they might be eligible with wages in this quarter that's going to end shortly, as well as the quarter prior to that. And so some claimants may have received an eligible monetary for their September filing, but then may become eligible in October.
And would they have to have worked the entirety of the quarter or just some of the quarter?
Just some of the quarters. So they just have to have earnings. And like I said, they have to have earnings in 2 quarters. Then they have to have 5 times their weekly benefit amount in new earnings since they were laid off, and 26 times their weekly benefit amount in total earnings in their benefit year.
I think, they got to make an appointment because that is some difficult math, all figuring out all. And I know that the websites lay that out. And as you said, there are appointments available. This can be so challenging for a lot of folks. I know we're almost out of time. But if you could just give us a final message this morning to folks who are navigating this right now.
Yes. So we are seeing many individuals who do not qualify for unemployment insurance, and we are very concerned. And that's why we're moving down towards the path of reemployment. We're really trying to help individuals find new jobs, help them, increase their skills, job counseling. And so please, I ask everyone who is looking for a job to reach out to American Job Center. It's a very useful tool to help them move down that path, to help them get a job so that they can provide for their families.
Before we go, you have been so great in coming on this program every month throughout the pandemic and really answering some of those questions. And as the federal benefits have expired and we see people hopefully getting back to work and things returning somewhat to some normalcy as we saw in the pre-pandemic times, wanted to just get your thoughts about the process of this whole past year for you personally. I mean, you have come on board into this role somewhat in the middle of all of this madness, taking over the helm of that department. What has this year been like for you in your role as this director, and what do you see moving forward for the department?
I have to say that it's the department. It's the department that it's everyone who works in the Department of Labor that makes it. And I'm proud to work with every single one of them. I feel blessed that I'm able to help so many people through this process. It's been hard times for everyone. It's been a tough job for all of us here at the department. But just the satisfaction that you're able to every single day make a difference in at least one individual's life. And that's what really counts. That's what a civil servant does. And that's what we do. We've been civil servants here for many, many years. And we're just happy to do this type of work. We're happy to help people. And I couldn't say enough about the staff that works here at the Department of Labor. We could not do without them. And everything they do, I truly appreciate all of their hard work. So it's a great job, and the blessings are many.
Well, thank you so much for being with us this morning. We appreciate your time. Thank you for going so in depth on explaining all of that. We really do appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me again. You take care.
Thank you. And as she said there is a job fair happening tomorrow. The department partnering with the University of Hawaii Community College's systems. You can find more information about that on their website. It does sound like things are improving in terms of, those claims and getting through that whole backlog. The tough part is that a lot of people are getting denial letters right now simply because they haven't worked enough to actually qualify for the benefit. The key distinction she's saying there is that they're simply administering the program. They're not deciding whether or not there's need or not. It's really just an eligibility question.
And there are still a lot of those questions on eligibility with those who may have been on some of those federal programs that supported people throughout the pandemic. And with those benefits expiring earlier this month, there are many people in that gray area that may think that they can continue to get some form of unemployment without really getting any job. And so really, the Department of Labor is making efforts to find ways to equip people to get back into the workforce. You heard her mention unemployment rate here in the state of Hawaii in August was at about 7%, but last year was at 14%. So the state continues to look for ways to get people back to work and get that number of unemployed people down. And we know that there is a need. As she said, there are many employers out there in almost every sector that continue to look for workers during this time, which seems to be a lot of people that we're hearing from as well.
That's right. And I know a lot of you would like those in-person appointments. At this point, she said they're taking that decision week by week. They're not at a place yet where they are ready to accept people in person. And the thing that she pointed out was that those phone appointments are going so well. And there still are phone appointments available. So you can sign up for those on their website. And they would have to diminish some of those to take care of folks in person. So no date yet. When that does happen, of course, we'll let you know. On Friday, we are switching gears. We're going to be talking to two CEOs of Neighbor Island Health Systems. We're talking to the CEO of Maui Health, Mike Rembis, along with Dan Brinkman. He is the CEO of Hilo Medical Center. How are those folks coping with the, COVID-19 case surge? Are they able to handle all the patients that they have and administer the care that folks need? We'll be talking to both of them on Friday.
Yeah, an important role and indicator of how well we're doing in the state. As the governor mentioned on this program on Monday, really the hospitals is the real key in terms of how we get past this and when things begin opening up once again. And when he would give the green light to reduce some of those restrictions, a lot of that being placed on the capacity of these hospitals. And so we look forward to getting an update from them. We look forward to seeing you right back here on Friday for another episode of Spotlight Hawaii. Until then, take care and aloha.
Aloha.
This episode of Spotlight Hawaii was brought to you by Chaminade University.